In this week's Retro Pop Culture News, a new Hanna-Barbera cartoon show called Jellystone. It's being made, and I'm really not sure what to think about this. Also, we are going to be talking about the new He-Man trailer, and we have a lot more retro news to talk about, so don't turn that dial. What up to my peoples, and welcome to Retro Crunch. It has been a little bit, and I've been on a secret mission actually, but we are back and we're going to talk about all the news that's happened this week. Alright, so first off, there is a new Yogi Bear and Friends cartoon that's coming out July 29th, and it's going to be showing on HBO MAX. From my first look at this trailer, you would have thought by now that these showrunners would have learned their lesson with that debacle of a show, Thundercats Roar. But nope, they haven't learned, they still aren't learning. I don't know what the problem is. People do not want to see this lazy and grossly unimaginative look and feel of some of these most beloved cartoons that we remember from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Just look at this. It's pretty bad. This is something that you would expect to see on Sprout, but not Nickelodeon. I just don't understand it. And the only redeeming quality that I found from this trailer is that some, and I mean a very few amount of the voice characters, they were actually pretty good. Yogi and Boo Boo, they sounded like the old cartoon, but their look is just all wrong. The cartoon characters in Jellystone are practically unrecognizable. They look nothing like the Hanna-Barbera characters that we expect or that we recognize growing up. I grew up watching and loved tons of Hanna-Barbera cartoons, and the look and characters in this new Jellystone show, they're horrible. It's obvious they're trying to appeal to a brand new audience or an audience that I have no idea who they're looking for. But for me, this one is going to be a definite pass. And then in some a lot better news, I hope you guys have seen the new Masters of the Universe Revelations trailer by now. I love the animation, I love the voice acting, hopefully there's a lot more He-Man and not as much Teela, but basically I am really excited for this one. My only gripe is probably that Orko, I think that he looks a little bit overpowered and he doesn't really remind me of the 80s cartoon Orko that we remember, but other than that, I'm cool with it. As long as it's a cartoon about He-Man and it isn't going to be totally Teela-centric, I'm really looking forward to this. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. If Kevin Smith screws this series up and turns it into some Teela show, I'm going to be putting the guy on blast. I'm letting you know right now. This is supposed to be about He-Man. I'm just saying. And then here is an update on the Smurfs animated series that I got tipped off by Najee Tech Pro. Not only does the Smurfs now have a new cartoon that's coming to Nickelodeon in 2021, but they also have a new Smurfs website that has all the download on this new series. They have a new video game, and there is tons more. So if you're a Smurfs fan, I'll link to the website down below. And then here's a cool story. Y'all might remember Jim Varney. He's the actor that did all of those great Ernest movies. Like Ernest Saves Christmas, Ernest Goes to Camp, Ernest Goes to Camp Part 2. Anyway, there's a ton of great Ernest movies out there. Well, there's some guys out there that did a Kickstarter to do the definitive documentary about Jim Varney, who played the pop culture icon Ernest P. Worrell. So they needed to raise $60,000 and they did it. And this should be a really cool documentary to keep your eye out for. And here's a few more retro stories that I really want to let you know about. There is a Turner and Hooch remake of the 1989 film that's in the works right now over at Disney. Now they tapped Josh Peck to play Turner. You might remember him from Drake and Josh back in the day. Also, a Jim and Tammy Baker biopic called The Eyes of Tammy Faye is being made, and it's going to star Andrew Garfield and Jessica Chastain as Jim and Tammy Baker for this biopic story. Alright guys, it's time to get physical and break out all your jazzercise equipment and get your spandex and your leg warmers and all that ready, because there's a new show that's actually called Physical that is all about life in the 80s and 80s jazzercise and getting in shape in the 80s. It seems pretty interesting, but you're just going to have to check it out and let me know what you thought. Oh yeah, so here is the logo for the upcoming The Munsters movie adaptation that's being made by Rob Zombie. I cannot wait for this movie to be made. And then moving on to even more retro news, there is a cool comic book addition to the 1989 Batman and the subsequent Batman Returns. That's essentially going to be Batman 3, because we all know that all the movies that came after the second one, they kind of went in a whole nother direction. The comic book is going to be in the same universe as the 1989 movie, and it's going to delve deeper into that world. So if you're really into the original Batman movie and you want to find out more about it, this comic's going to be hitting stores in August. Dun, 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 dun. Then the A-Team, they're back with a new Playmobil toy. Now, this is up for pre-order right now at Entertainment Earth. This thing's going to be going for 89 bucks, so this is pretty much for all the A-Team fans out there. But the craziest news that I have is that British Knights, they're actually back. These shoes, I haven't seen these things since the 80s, and I don't know where they went and when this happened, but yeah, there's a website for them and everything. I can vaguely remember back in the, I think it was the mid 80s when they were hugely popular. Maybe you guys can let me know in the comments about what actually you remember about wearing them. Also, maybe you can tell me why they went away. I know it had something to do with some kind of gang-related thing or something. And finally, if you're into retro news and nostalgia stuff from back in the day, I'll catch you in the next video right there. I'll catch you guys on the flip side, and remember, if it ain't retro, it ain't worth watching.